croissant or amagwinya?
First one.
No, you got me there.
You must remember these products, people don't know how to make them. Their mothers used to make, and they've never learned how to actually make.
The city girls and the city boys are there going to Woolies getting idombolo. Is it like one of those stories of a suitcase and a dream?
Yeah.
You know?
If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Exactly.
An apron and a dream in this case.
A chef jacket and a knife.
Yeah. Welcome back to What's the Difference, a Woolworths podcast. My name is Sibongile Mafu.
And I'm Steve Steinfeld.
And one of my favorite things about this podcast is that we get to meet incredible chefs. And I get to hang out with you, Steve.
I was going to say my favorite thing is getting to spend time with you, but...
we are contractually bound.
secondary.
Yeah. We're forced to do
Yes.
this. No, I'm joking. But I not only love real life chefs, but I also love watching shows like The Bear.
Yeah.
Which is
you know
a
what's
show-
weird? Is because I spend so much time with chefs, those shows just stress me out so much.
Oh, you see-
So I just would, I've not watched it.
I love watching the drama of the kitchen, sitting on my couch, but there are people who are literally living that reality every single day.
That is true. And today's guest is one of those chefs. He has been classically trained in French cuisine at some of the world's top restaurants before he brought it all back to South Africa. It is Chef Wandile Mabaso.
Hello, Chef.
Andy?
Hi,
How you
how's it, Sibongile? Thank you, Steve. It's great to see you.
Always good.
We miss you in Johannesburg, but it's great to see you.
So, Wandile, what we do at the beginning of our podcast is basically a segment we call Snack and Yap, just to break the ice.
Yes.
And maybe show you some of your favorite snacks, but also maybe some snacks you may not be familiar with. First up, we've got the popcorn, which is the sea salted air popcorn, which is something that features heavily in your home.
It's my favorite. It's always there. Yes.
And then we have the sliced beef biltong,
That's that.
purebred Angus.
Angus.
Yes, another favorite. I'm on a biltong diet, actually. Yeah.
Sounds like a dream. And then all the way from Spain, we have the Torres Selecta black truffle chips, which I haven't tried yet. Have you?
I've not tried it. It should be fairly new, but it looks interesting. Black truffle.
We had to bring the fancy stuff.
The fancy one.
It smells like truffle.
You know, the first test for me is there a generous amount of chips in the bag? Let me have a look.
So let's be the judge.
Let me have a look, because shrinkflation is coming for us all.
Shrinkflation is coming.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I'd
It's
say
a good amount.
It's a suitable amount.
It's a solid amount. Hey?
Oh, wow.
It's giving generosity.
Oh, no.
Tastes like...
I smelled it first, the truffle.
Yeah.
How often do you work with truffle?
I've used truffle a lot, both in America and in France. And obviously, locally, we also got local truffles from the Kalahari.
And up in KZN.
Up in KZN as well.
Truffles growing too.
So we tend to use it a lot, but it's something that grows in a very short space of time. Right. So it's not something that you use all year round.
Well, the food is art. And I mean, there's no better person to talk about the concept of, creating something beautiful on a plate from scratch. Yeah. When you got into chefing at, in your late teens, you were 17, was that something that had already kind of formed itself in your mind that, food is art?
I'd say no. By 16, 17, I had to choose by 17 what I'm going to do for a living. And
which is crazy, by the way.
Yeah.
We have no business choosing what to want to be at that
it's
age.
Crazy, but the pressure's there. They come into your high school and everybody's trying to pitch that school. And at that time, for me, cooking was really a hobby already. And I did not know that I could turn that hobby into an actual career. So it was actually good back then that we had those schools come and do orientation and actually teach us about how it actually works and what you could be. And that's when I chose to go in the industry. And from there, I went into hotel school and I started cooking my first job at 17 while I was in school.
I mean, you mentioned cooking as a hobby. For, a 17-year-old, you're a young man. That's not really a popular hobby,
Not we can take it
not at all.
even further. Because growing up in Soweto.
Yes.
When did cooking become like
Not
something
at
that you were
all.
interested in?
I was like the weirdest guy in the street.
Yeah. Let's talk about weirdo Wandile for a sec.
I was the weirdest guy. My friends were laughing at me at one point. And you're growing up in Soweto. The guy's like, "Why are you playing with food? You spend the whole day playing with food."
And what age was this? When was this?
And this was like at 15, 16.
Okay, so-
The guys used to laugh at me, especially when I made pastries. And like, why are you playing with sweets? And they'd say it in Zulu, like, "Wa dlala ngama sweet," and start laughing. And for me, it was just the love of it. But they loved it too because they got to eat afterwards.
I'm saying, keep quiet and enjoy.
Yeah. So it was really a hobby, but being raised by a single mom, at one point I had to cook out of necessity because we get tired of having, peanut butter and jam every night. So we had to start with rice, myself and my brother, and then learn how to cook stews. And then eventually started wanting to show off, cooking Sunday meals, your 7 colors. And that's how it really started.
I mean, I know on my side, when I go to people for dinner, they're always super scared to cook for me. When in essence,
There comes Steve, the food journalist.
Oh, yes.
Ready to critique my plate.
Who's eaten in every Michelin-starred restaurant. So I just let people cook, and they're always scared as well. And I'm like, guys, I'm the easiest guy. You just give me popcorn, give me biltong. I'm just happy. That's it.
Yeah.
just happy someone else is cooking, right?
Yes, but if I go out and pay for it and eat at a restaurant, obviously I end up becoming like a Steve then. And I'll say this, listen, this could have been better, that could have been better.
Yeah.
That's different, yeah.
I was worried where we were going with like a Steve there.
I was worried a little bit. One of my favorite things about you is that you grew up loving Mike's Kitchen. And I mean, I grew up in Gqeberha in PE, and I also loved Mike's Kitchen, almost like a rite of passage in a way, in terms of my childhood. And it was kind of one of my earliest memories of like dining out with my family and, the feelings attached to that. Why was Mike's Kitchen specifically, so special for you?
Honestly, it was the only restaurant I knew, the only restaurant that I went to. It really was my perception of what a real restaurant is. And I think it was influenced by my father working not far from the Mike's Kitchen in Parktown in Joburg. And he used to take us there at least once a month or twice a month as a family. Until to this day, I can vividly remember just as a kid running around. It just brings that sense of nostalgia for me. And it just represents family, childhood, happiness, before we grew up and life got complicated.
I think it's only appropriate to take it back to New York, where you were first exposed to like French classic technique, Michelin standards. What was the most like shocking thing the first time you walked into one of those kitchens?
Man, I think I was probably about 24 years old. Yeah. I was the youngest one in the kitchen.
Was it like one of those stories of a suitcase and a dream?
Yeah.
If
you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Exactly.
An apron and a dream in this case.
A chef jacket and a knife. Yeah. It was a culinary capital at that time. As we know, it moves either in Japan or now it's at the Latin American countries like Peru and Mexico. And also Spain. But that time it was New York City. The Michelin Guide had just come in. All the best French chefs were there. It was amazing.
So this must have been 20 years ago or so? Or
yeah,
Yeah, somewhere around there.
It was 15, around 15 years. And being in New York City, space is very limited. So we had very little space to deal with. I remember butchering about 400 fish on a Friday, fish for the weekend's brunch, trout, and this is literally about 3 floors underground.
What?
In the basement at minus 15 to 20 degrees Celsius weather in winter. in winter.
Yeah, there's many elements about your story that I think people will find interesting, but one of the standouts for me is, being a young Black South African man saying, I'm going to New York, I'm going to do this thing. Were there examples around you where you were like, I can see someone else doing it, that's why it makes sense for me? Or were you kind of just going for it, let me be brave, let me be the first, and try this path?
I never had anything like that to look at. Like I said, it was scary. It takes courage, and you have to believe in it. And it was so difficult. I remember going on the subway and just sitting there in the subway and going all the way to Harlem where I was staying. And I just asked myself, what the hell am I doing here? And literally just started crying, you know, in
Crying on the subway.
In the subway.
Listen, a very New York story.
Could be on the bed.
Yeah, it could be. Could be.
Yeah, so I mean, what you see at the Bear, our times that by 10.
You're right.
That's the conditions that we're in. But I had nobody to look up to as a black man or a black boy, and it was all in the head. Every time I cried, and every time I had that feeling of giving up, I then literally had to visualize, which is something I do very well. Visualize, and I could visualize my first restaurant and why I'm here. So that helped me get through all the tough times.
And I think, I mean, you've become that example for so many people.
Yeah.
And you are huge into mentorship in your kitchen and outside your kitchen. Having had those intense experiences, living that Michelin life, what is the culture like in your kitchen?
The culture in my kitchen is very modern, respectful. Going back to how chefs were treated, I mean, in general, the industry has been very grueling over the years. I think it's gotten better with modern chefs trying to get things to be better. The hours are grueling, the pay is not the best, the conditions are sometimes grueling as well. And, you know, you always learn what to do, but I also learned what not to do during my travels. And the one thing I always wanted to do, and I say to my team as well, is that I wanted to bring dignity to our people, and most especially our black people, because every kitchen that I've been to, whether it's in America, you know, in Florida, it was the Haitians, Jamaicans, that's the workforce. In New York, it's then obviously the Mexicans. You go back to Paris, we're dealing with guys from West Africa, and you always see the conditions, and they're always working as dishwashers and cleaners, and they never progress. And you see a guy that's in his 50s and is still doing the same cleaning job.
For decades.
For decades. And that's the one thing I wanted to do was give our guys dignity, make our chefs, whether of color or not, you know, make them feel human. Hence why my team doesn't work on Christmas, it's family. My team doesn't work on New Year's Eve, it's family and friends. And they take enough time off, and we make sure everybody gets 2 days off, you know. So we try and keep that mental health there, because I've seen what it's done to a lot of chefs, and then you start getting into alcohol abuse or drug addiction. It's things that we've seen, especially in Michelin-starred restaurants, just to keep up with the pressure.
And I mean, I want to talk to you about chefs being brands, because I think that's something you've done very well. I mean, last year you launched your own champagne, but before we get onto that, we've spoken about the old Les Creatif. Let's talk about the new one, because now it has actually moved to Rosebank and is a much bigger space. Is it much more of the kind of idea you had envisioned?
Well, still not really, but like I said,
Like, let me give myself more work.
Yeah, let me see how I can make my life more difficult.
Exactly.
You know, but it's quite exciting, and it's quite nice to see the evolution happen. And I think it should happen that way, because the world is changing, you know, and we got to change with the world where it's going. And with the new space, which took forever to finally decide on, it's something I had to work on for 2 years, where a lot of people were like, when are you moving? Is it actually happening? This guy's not serious? And once again, you just block out all the noise, and you focus on what you want to do and how you want to do it. And I think we found the best location, which represents art, culture, and is an iconic space, Rosebank, Parktown area in Johannesburg, very iconic. And this is where now we're gonna tell our real stories. And I always say the old Les Creatif was really just to you know, rediscover or discover who we are, try to redefine what South African luxury cuisine is, and take all of these fragmented cuisines we got and flavors and package them in one package nicely and sell them to the world, like the Japanese have done, the Italians have done, the Indians have done, the French have done. We haven't done that pretty well. We still very much this guy's trying to do that, that guy's trying to do that, as opposed to creating one wholesome cuisine that we can all work towards together. And this is where now we have gotten at Les Creatifs, where we're ready to give that experience. I always say Les Creatifs, it really hasn't opened up until now. And all we've just been doing is trying to discover ourselves, create our clientele, try and figure out where this industry is really going. And we've just been testing and trying things in the last 6 years, really. And this is now the time where we're going to give you the entire full experience. It's not a bigger space because we want to add more seats. It's just, it was a romantic start in Bryanston in that little office. But now I think it was time to pivot, but at my pace and at the right time as well. And I think it is the right time now. And we've got a nice lounge on the side as well, which is very, very cultural as well. We worked with a few artists, designers as well, who have designed some of our fabrics, whether it's a uniform for our waiters to wear, and also fabrics, napkins, tablecloths, and you'll see. You are seeing a lot of collaboration within the space, but very cultural, and we've called that one 565. Yeah. That's the bar of Les Creatifs, and 565 is the house number I grew up in Diepkloof in Soweto, and it's really about those tapas food that I grew up with. And then obviously on the side we got our iconic Les Creatifs, which we hope to elevate it to top in the world, because I think it can reach that level. And
there's even more. I know there's the chocolate space too.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about that. I mean, I love that part. So tell us about that.
Chocolatiering, I always looked for what is the X factor now with our new space. And being a person who's worked with a lot of alcohol brands and spirits, and I understand that gastronomy is the science between food and drink, and you cannot have one without the other. And I thought about, okay, what else can I put in? What do we have in our continent? And cacao is something that's very predominant in Africa and people don't know. And therefore, about 3 years ago, I went to Ghana, in Accra, and I had to meet the king himself from the Ashanti region, where the cacao actually grows from. Same soil where the Ashanti gold comes from, and unfortunately same soil where a lot of slaves were buried, And I had to go to the village and literally see how they manufacture cacao. So even the fermentation process, they're using hands to mix the
no machines.
No machines at all. It was quite inspiring. But at the end, I got permission to use that cacao. And then went to the distributors as well, tried to organize a deal and how we get that cacao in there. So at the new Les Creatifs that we have now, there's a glass in the middle of the room, which everybody can see all the artistic work. Everything in there, from the chairs, tables, is made from cacao as well, because we got very talented pastry chef, sculptors and chocolatiers. And you could either have a dessert, or you could come inside this room for chocolate and cognac or whiskey or brandy experience.
After dinner type of.
After dinner.
Yeah, right. And I mean, speaking of your travels, I think you maybe travel almost as much as I do. And having spoken of your experience in Ghana, you do things properly. I know a few years ago you went to Champagne.
Yes. Yes.
And you've made your own champagne, which you launched last year.
Yes.
I mean, that must have been an incredible process, because, I mean, as you know, it can only be called champagne if it's from Champagne.
So you're like, let me go to the source.
And you wanted champagne.
Yeah.
So to be honest with you, I never wanted a champagne.
Okay.
It just didn't happen as simple as that. Yeah. I didn't go pitching to farms to say, listen, I want a champagne. And I would have preferred to actually have an MCC.
That was my next question. Why champagne and not
I'm South African.
Which is still possible in the future, knowing the planner that you are.
Listen,
probably already in the pipeline.
It's still possible. It's still possible, but
of course.
What I'm going to say now is not to sort of challenge the winemakers in South Africa. We got great winemakers, we got great farms, we got great history. And honestly, there's a lot of MCCs that will beat any champagne at any given day, you know. But when I was making this champagne, I said to somebody that I know somebody, and a lot of people are going to ask me, why did you go to France? Why couldn't you have made an MCC? You're South African and we have it here. Yeah. And the true story behind that is I've worked with so many wine farms and winemakers locally, from Franschhoek, Stellenbosch, everywhere, you know, and Swartland, you name it. Nobody has approached me for that.
Really?
We had to get a French person all the way from Champagne who is literally at a wine pairing, because we do a lot of wine pairing, cognac, whiskey. We've done more with our local producers here in the winelands, where they come through, and the winemaker comes through to Joburg as well. And the same with the French guys. They come through from Burgundy, from Bordeaux, Chateauneuf du Pape, whatever it is. And Duval Leroy, which is 5th generation, and the sons now own it, they came through for their dinner. And as we're sitting there, he looked at me and said, "Chef, would you like to create recipes for our champagne?"
That's so cool.
And I looked at him like, this guy is... It's crazy. It sounds more like consultation. I've heard that before. I'm not interested, you know. And you saw I wasn't interested. He literally stood up and he went outside and he made a call for 30 minutes and he came back and he said, "Chef, would you like to have your own champagne in our farm?" And I still looked at him and I was like, this guy's mad.
Where's the couch?
Where's he on about?
Big chat.
We took photos and we you know, he even stood up there and says, "This guy will make his champagne." I was like, yeah, whatever, PR moment. No, the guy called me 3 weeks later. He's like, "Chef, when are you ready to come to Champagne? You're ready to book your flights?" And fast forward, 2 months later, I'm in Champagne. And we met in Paris. We drove to Champagne, and I got there, met the cellar master, and I was there for about 10 days, 5 hours each day, just blending and tasting and blending. I created my own blend from scratch, which was, I wanted to build a champagne for South Africans.
Yeah,
but for South Africans, you know, and I went 15% Chardonnay, which is unusual, and 60% Pinot Noir, and the rest was Pinot Meunier in the farm. And I was quite lucky because the cellar master who's been making this for 30 years, and she's the first female champagne maker, was guiding me through it and really allowing me to be creative and expressive in it. And I created this beautiful recipe or blend that is out there, which is unique to me. It's the first of a kind. And I'm the first chef to have their own champagne. The other chefs they collaborated with, you know, they're all Mofs, you know, they are all big chefs in Europe, 3-star Michelin, Trois Gras, you know them, and Chef Gomez, who's now the chef of the president, the French president. And so my jacket is next to be in that room, but. Fast forward, now we've got the champagne, which launched November last year, and it tastes beautiful. People appreciate it. We are going to create the boxing locally because I do not want everything to be made in France. We also want to make sure that it sustains our community here as well and creates jobs and businesses here. But it's also, if you look at the label and the branding, it's got the Johannesburg skyline. And for me, that is the link between Johannesburg and Champagne, two worlds that I existed in. And 2 weeks after receiving the champagne in South Africa, you know, I had the pleasure of gifting it to the French president, Macron, and serving it to him and allowing him to take a specialized bottle, which is made of beads, brass, and gold.
Now we're all going to want that bottle now.
That bottle.
You know, he can't be the only one getting the special treatment.
So for me, it's really something I'm proud of.
Yeah.
I created it from scratch. There are people that just slap a label on bottles and it's a marketing thing. But for me, it's really, really important and personal to make sure that I'm involved in the creative process right till the end. So we're happy. We've got a beautiful South African-made champagne.
Congratulations on the
Yeah,
champagne.
that's an awesome story.
Very, very, very exciting. We are going to move on to a portion of the podcast that gets us to play a little bit more.
A little less serious.
Yes, and you'll have to answer with the first answer that pops in your mind. What are we calling this game?
We're calling it Hort or Home.
Hot
Or Home.
or home. Okay.
All right, take it away.
So basically, we're going to give you two options, no thinking, and you're going to say the first one that you would prefer. Sibs, let's go.
Croissant or amagwinya?
First one, what do you...
No, you got me there. Man, let's go.
into this one,
Let's
eh?
go amagwinya.
Brioche or rooster cook?
Brioche,
Parisian butter or South African cultured butter?
Parisian butter.
French cheese or biltong?
Oof. Man, actually, both would be a
Both
great
together,
combination.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a hint to Woolworths.
We're doing chocolaterie board here.
We'll allow. We'll allow.
Yeah, that's
Macarons or Cook Sisters?
Cook Sisters.
Creme brulee or marble pudding?
Oof. You've made it really hard, right? Let me
These
go.
are the hard-hitting questions that people are watching
pudding.
for.
Malva
Malva
pudding.
pudding.
Marble pudding,
yeah.
okay.
Cap Classique or champagne?
See, now you're about to get controversial.
Well, I think once this is aired, you're going to get approached by numerous Cap Classique makers, and they're all thinking, "Why did we never think of this?"
Yeah.
So let me be fair. Let me be fair. As much as I got a champagne, I think we've got some of the most beautiful MCCs in this country.
Truly.
So I'll go for Club Classique.
And lastly, butter croissant dipped in coffee or leftover brine meat for breakfast?
Leftover brine meat.
There we go.
There we go. No, you may keep your South African
Yeah,
membership.
I think you did well there.
You did very well. Oh,
Yeah,
it's that
you know
time.
What time it is.
Yes.
Yeah, someone's left the fridge door open.
That's it. We are going to be moving now into the cold seat. So Wandile, basically, this is where we bring in someone from Woolies to answer the hard-hitting questions that'll make them feel the chill that we feel when we go to Woolies.
Okay.
Because, you know, their refrigeration system, top-notch.
Yes.
Top-notch. It's
That
cold
cold
seat
chain,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And today, joining us in the cold seat is someone who has spent more than 20 years at Woolworths, making sure the food you buy is world-class. Senior Development Chef, Sharon Mbonambi.
Welcome in, Sharon.
Hi, step
in.
on into our kitchen.
Join us again.
Nice to have you.
Oh wow.
Wow. The giant Woolworths gift bag has arrived.
It is back.
Wow.
Wendy's struggling to get it across the table.
I'm hearing the clinking of bottles, so that's going to be quite lovely for you later. Enjoy that.
I'm excited that it's very heavy.
Wendy, I'm not sure if you know, but you're sitting next to a Woolworths icon.
Yes.
She has been with the brand since 1995.
Wow.
She's now Senior Development Chef
Wow.
and Chief Caterer, Head Caterer,
Catering manager.
Catering
yes.
Manager
Yes.
of Woolworths.
Wow.
Yeah, she is a legend in her own right.
Wow.
And, you know, watching the two of you and your careers, something that stands out for me is how incredibly proud you are of your culture, your heritage, and you've brought it into your work. But maybe I'll ask you, Sharon, there's also pushback when you introduce things like idombolo at Woolies, amagwinya, umleqwa. The people are like, Woolies, what are you doing? What are you doing in our
Until they
business?
taste them.
Until
then
they taste
then the
them.
TikToks change.
Exactly.
Yes. So please tell us like the challenges of introducing like South African dishes to Woolies, and then maybe one day then you can speak about the challenges of infusing culture into, you know, the plates that you create in your restaurant.
Sure.
Yeah. With regards to developing our African products, it's very challenging because you've got to get the taste right.
Yes.
Because these tastes, remember, people grow up eating this and they know exactly what they want. And the challenge is making it taste exactly as our people know it. With regards to things like dombolo, I mean, obviously it's best eaten straight from the pot onto a plate.
Yes.
So Woolworths, you've got to make it at the supplier, and it travels, gets into our stores. So obviously the life won't be the same as getting it straight out of the pot. But I think we've done a very good job.
It's
in
very
making
satisfying
sure-
when
it's
someone
very
comes back and
very
says,
satisfying,
I'm sorry,
yes.
I was wrong.
And you must remember, these products, people don't know how to make them. Their mothers used to make, and they've never learned how to actually make. So
The city girls and the city boys are there going to Woolies getting idombolo.
yes, and
Yeah.
most of these products take long to make. Like if you feel like a dombolo coming from work, literally that takes about 2 to 3 hours to make because we've got to knead, it needs to proof,
very late
back
dinner.
again, shape, and cook. So if you've got a solution from Woolworths, 2 minutes in the microwave and just sort it.
I know Woolies loves a plan, loves the long game as well. And are there any other products that we could potentially be looking forward to that could hit the
there's
shelf?
quite a lot, but let's wait until we
Leak
get
it,
there.
Sharon,
No,
leak it. And for you, Wandile, I mean, you know, in terms of your restaurant, do you find that, people take time to understand what it is that you try to do when you present a dish and you infuse your culture into it?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I've had somebody call me out after serving, lamb tails, and I had it as an amuse bush, and I just put it there. And you need to pick it up with your fingers and you need to bite into it. And
Yes.
this person's like, this is not fine dining. Why do I have to lick my fingers? And it goes back to what I think Sharon is doing now is watching what the world change, and she's making sure that she changes with it. And I think it's a great strategy because that is where the world is facing. People are looking for authenticity. And food has become a medium, but we are actually not selling food. We are selling emotions. And
stories.
That's why she's getting into that nostalgia of when you taste it, it needs to take you back to your childhood. And I think that's a great strategy.
Yeah, great.
And I mean, obviously also very challenging because you have to get it just right, Sharon. And when you are literally creating, these dishes, is there one where you're like, this is not working, back to the drawing board, or actually let's scrap it all together?
Yeah, we do get quite a lot of those. Like, for instance, if you've got a presentation to a department, because I'm from a central department, so we make recipes and present to the different departments. So the rules are, if I'm not happy making it, I just don't present it up until I get it right.
Okay.
And we work as a team. So we first taste in the kitchen just to ensure that we can go ahead and present. If it's not good enough, it doesn't even get to the department to be tasted.
Yeah, it won't even be put in front of them.
Yeah, no.
Which one was the toughest to kind of not only get approved by you, but get it over the finish line?
It's actually, amagwinya was one of the toughest, and idombolo, because getting the texture right, and because obviously you're reheating it when you're actually used to getting it straight from a pot and it's home and you eat it. Yeah. So to get it right from traveling as well, etc. So we do test and test.
Back and forth.
Try, like, if you've got a presentation on Friday, you'll start on a Monday so that you get that shelf life by the time, like, the customer would get it. So you keep trying until you just get it right.
No, it's a lesson in perseverance, for sure. And you guys have gotten it right, so well done.
Thank you.
It's so difficult putting Sharon in the cold seat.
It really is.
She is so nice.
Yeah, I know. We might have to just do your own full Sharon,
So I have a question.
Yes, so here is your cold seat question.
Yes, I have a question. So what inspired I saw umleqwa. I was so shocked. I even took a picture. I sent it to someone. I'm like, okay.
Okay, question mark.
Yeah, I was like, this is interesting. But what inspired that, and understanding that umleqwa is something that takes a long time to cook. What is now the process when I buy that? I didn't buy it. I'm gonna try it very soon. But how do I how do I get it to where it needs to be in a short space of time? Because we know that takes the whole day to cook.
I know. This is what Woolworths is good at, providing a solution for our customers. Remember, a product developer doesn't only develop what they like, they develop what the customer would want to have on the shelf. Mleqwa being one of those products. That's exact reason that it takes long. Then you start thinking, how do I make it easy for my customer? Because they still want to have that product. And also we get a lot of feedback from our customer service. They tell us what they want. And our job is to provide what the customer actually asks for. And then we start working with these things and sourcing products. And also, I mean, Mleqwa is local and everyone knows it. And it's amazing how, like for instance, when we did Ulusu, a tribe, Afrikaans people also eat quite a lot of tripe. So that's why we've got one that's curried and one that's plain. At home, you can tweak that to whatever you want. Like if you want to buy it plain, like we prefer to use it, we fine. And any other culture will take that, add the flavor, like fry your onions, and put it in, and you've got a meal in like 15 minutes.
Wow. So it's 15 minutes?
No, the product is fully cooked.
Okay.
You can literally warm it and eat it.
Yeah.
But if you want to add any other flavor,
Yes.
you can do that.
Oh, wow. I need to try that.
It's a very nice product.
But I see you also got, what we grew up with, dombolo. I'm yet to see you have a chakalaka?
Chakalaka.
You got one already?
We've got one canned and
You got an
one.
acha as well? You
yes,
got a... So I think that is very smart. I think it is the future. You know, if you go to a supermarket in France, like I said, you will find their products there.
Exactly.
You go to a supermarket in Spain, you'll find, even if it's like a product that is regarded as indigenous or not upmarket, like sardines, but you just find a way to package
pride
it.
of place, yeah.
And you've sold emotions, literally, because we grew up eating these products.
Yes.
And what's actually interesting is that most of these products that she has put on the shelf, even our Afrikaans people, you talk about Afrikaans culture, even our English people have grown up with it, because remember, their helpers used to cook this for them.
Yeah.
So they're also getting a sense of nostalgia. So you don't necessarily need to come from a township to understand umleqwa or to understand vetkoek and mince or acha. So I think it's very South African, and big up on that.
Yeah, I think it is cool. I think there's this, it's been a fantastic, and as much as people joke about how can you do this, I think it really has instilled like a sense of like pride.
Yes.
And it's encouraging more and more people to try it, which
Yes, and
I
it
always
does
love about
sell.
food.
And it does sell.
And the sky's the limit. There's so
Exactly.
many more things to look
There's
forward
so
to.
many more things to come.
Hopefully we can create something together in the future. Who knows?
Hey, what
fully
the
agree.
entrepreneur in you
Always.
is working. I love it.
It's going to be a Cap Classique deal and Woolies deal from this.
Exactly.
We're both passionate about
There we
food,
go.
you know,
Makes
and we're
sense.
both passionate about culture as well. So I think it's something in the pipeline. We see.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Sharon, thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure.
Wandile, thank you. Coming all the way from Joburg to Cape Town to be with us today. It's been wonderful chatting to you guys. That's been What's the Difference, a Woolworths podcast.
If you enjoyed today's episode, remember you can find our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Until next time, bye-bye.